Welcome to Mindset U Podcast, your source of mindset education. We aim to provide you with free, valuable education for you to thrive. Enjoy. Today we discuss how women and men relate to their bodies, but also how emotions trigger us to take actions in our lives, how they trigger us to make big decisions, and how we use logic to explain away the emotional reactions to what happens.
Yeah, I think when you experience like pain or discomfort from a perspective of fun,
Yeah.
it's a very different type of pain and discomfort.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the same thing. It's like and I'm trying to think of like what it actually like feels like in the body when you're training for something that you actually enjoy. That is very different. Like, sorry, with like jiu-jitsu, the last time I rolled, I thought I was gonna pass out. But I was I popped my shoulder. I thought I was gonna pass out. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And now here I am 2 weeks not being able to go back. But I was like, yo, I can't wait to go back. Like, why is it different?
Yeah. It's funny because about 2 weeks ago, I sprained my wrist smart and me and the kid uppercut at the same time. Both our hands pretty much went like that. And then she was like, so like, you gonna take a break? I was like, bring out that wrap. I was like, I wrapped my wrist. I was like, going back tonight. And it's funny, it's still a little swollen, but it's just one of the things I was like, it's not, I'm not gonna let it stop me. Of course you listen to your body and stuff like that, but I was like, it doesn't hurt when I do this anymore, so that's great. Like it still feels a little tight when I do this, but if I wrap it and punch, like it don't hurt, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. Now if you ask me to do a push-up like this, I'm like, fuck you, I'm just gonna do it on the fist. But you find a way around it.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's part of the beauty of when you're doing something that you love, you kind of just figure it out. It's like, alright, well I can't do this, but I still have another hand, so I was like, alright, I'm just gonna throw fucking straights all day long. Figure it out.
To what you said, Mo, before, I think it's the concept of meaning. So when you're doing something for fun, the meaning is for the sake of fun. When it becomes a chore, a thing, so like let's say you're prepping for a fight, right, and you get hurt, now the meaning of that experience is like, oh, now this is gonna mean that I can be in the fight, or that I'm gonna look like I'm quitting, or I'm whatever, like all that meaning comes in, and it's not just the stress of the injury, of the wrist, let's say, in your case, it's not just the stress of that, now is this chemical flow of stress that is attached to this injury because of meaning. But when I think fun is almost the detachment of meaning, where you're having fun for the sake of fun.
So then what does fun, so you mentioned something in the beginning, you were like happy.
Yeah.
And you weren't happy.
Yeah.
How do you know
Yeah.
that you aren't happy? Like in terms of like the actual feeling of happiness, right?
I think for me, it's like, am I ever happy? But what I do know is that I didn't hate myself. I started hating myself a little bit.
And what does that feel like though?
It just feels like you're unnecessarily hard on yourself, and then you just start seeing things. I'm normally a cynic, but now I'm like, okay, now I'm like, before I was a cynic for the sake of just having fun being a cynic and just being the opposite kind of view on something, and then I was just like, I'm really starting to feel like this. This is kind of fucking scary.
But you see what I'm talking about? How like the difference between men and women, like how we explain an emotion, it's very thought based, right? Go to a woman and they can probably connect a little bit more to the physiological responses. This is what Francis and I were talking about. Why are women more in tune with their emotions? Well, they have a fucking period every month.
Yeah.
Right?
Their bodies.
But they get to feel their bodies all the time. When do we feel our bodies? All right, so if we get into a fight, we get punched in the face, or we hurt ourselves, we really can. There you go, exactly. Yes, through sex. Yeah. Right? Like that's when we really understand an emotion, but then everything else we try to make logical sense out of it, like thoughts.
But we also talking about physiology, exercise. Exercise is another place where you're you're pushing the world around you, you're manipulating the world around you so much to the point that you feel something inside.
But you need to take action as a man to do that. A woman doesn't. A woman gets pregnant, they feel their whole internal world. Right? A woman has a period, she doesn't have control on stopping the period. Like, we get to decide, all right, let's come here and manipulate these weights, and then we feel physiological responses. Yeah. Or we go and have sex with a woman, we get consent, and then we get manipulate the external world to get those sensations. A woman doesn't have that choice, right? Unless they take their uterus out, and even that, I think they have.
Then you have a hormonal deficiency that happens and that causes the same thing.
Which is why, like, and if you think about it, like, what you're arguing from a survival standpoint, right? None of this shit existed, right? Like, a man being in tune with his emotions or physiological responses, could that be a threat to his life? Like,
I think yes and no. I think the one thing that, like, the generalization with men and women is like, guys go with logic, women go with emotions, kind of thing. And I think when you have a guy who relies more on emotions than logic, it could hinder them in certain ways. But it's a catch-22 because, like, it's different for every person, right?
But let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Your decision to leave your job, was it logical?
Yeah.
It was a logic.
Yeah, because I didn't just leave without. If I would have left without having a plan.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Yeah. But the moment you decided to make the decision, like, yo, I don't fucking like this thing anymore, I'm not happy, right? Is that from a logical perspective, or are those the words that were used to describe the emotional state that you were in?
I think it was a mix of the two. I think it's a mix of the two. It was one of those things I was like, all right, I've been here for 10 years. It's all I've ever really known, work-wise. All I've known is news since fucking college. Last senior year, had an internship, basically worked 4 days and blah, blah, blah. News is all I've ever fucking known. So they got to the point that, okay, now the emotional part is, I'm not happy. The logical part was, okay, well, you've been here for 10 years, now what do? Do you stick it out and go, well, I just started this new position here. Do I stick it out and see if I like it or not? Or do I go, fuck it, let's see how strong you are?
This is what I'm saying. So the decision came from the core decision, right? And this is what...
Well, I think but that's human, though. It's emotions.
Yes. Yeah. So every human, right, no matter what, every decision, like, derives from an emotion.
Of course.
Period.
Yeah.
So, like, logical thinking does not exist. You can create...
Yeah, but you see, but my counter argument to that is logical thinking comes in with how you react to your emotions.
So that, but it's a decision, whatever logical thought comes, is deriving from one source.
An emotion.
An emotion.
Yeah.
So the emotion is what drives you to make a decision. So an emotion is a set of physiological responses, right?
Yeah.
Heart rate, elevation, all that stuff that happens in the body.
Yeah.
So when you decide to take a piss,
right?
You made that decision. The logical thing is like, I gotta go pee before I piss myself. Right?
I pee my pants over.
But the where it started, right? The source of it was, oh shit, there's a tingling sensation in my bladder. I feel like this thing in my penis, right? This is what I should do. What does this mean? This means this. And then you start creating a process.
So, Jay, with what you said before with like the men and women thing.
Yeah.
So the key concept is that what Mo just talked about, where for everyone, men, women, just being, it all comes from the same state. It all comes from the emotions, which is basically physiology, right? Now, the awareness of that physiology, it's the idea where women have the opportunity to be more in tuned because they have this constant dialogue going on with their bodies, right? And it's not the case for every woman. And for men, it's much easier to not have that dialogue. And what we see with our clients is in the sense of like, specifically men, it's like, what did you feel about this? Or how did you feel about this situation? And they're not aware of even the question of understanding what feel like. What do you mean? Yeah. X plus Y equals Z. That's all. Yeah. What else is there for it, right? And then it becomes this work of raising awareness of like, yo, there's shit in there that's talking to me and I didn't even know. And it's talking to you always. It's suggesting and then the thing is that our brains, our logical thinking brains, are going to take that information and present a logical reason behind it. And then we think we're up here only, but in reality, we're all coming from here. But it's really about the awareness. That's the difference. It's not that men and women are different in that sense. It's more like who's aware of where that consciousness is.
That comes down to like even sports, right? So like men can relate to this when we go to sports. So like if we're boxing, right? It's not like you're saying he's gonna throw right. Like when you're in the middle of a fight, it's not like he's gonna throw right, I'm gonna duck here. That doesn't happen. Yeah. It's literally you're collecting data and information, reading your senses, and you react to that situation. Now the more you practice these movements and you kind of download this information into your brain, the more awareness you have, because that data, the reception of that data actually slows down, which then allows you to understand and project those things.
But I also think going back to like what you were saying too is and I agree 100% with you what you just said is going back to like the whole thing of like fighting. Like when I fight certain kids, especially the younger guys, there's certain ones that, or I noticed it with younger guys and dudes who are very vain and who are like into like their muscles and stuff like that into their body. When you hit them, the way they react is purely based off emotion. Because they throw, I'm gonna say logic, out the window when they get touched, because then all of a sudden they get touched and they like it, they walk right forward and they're just trying to get it right back. And they try to prove themselves and I always make sure to fuck them up even more when they do that.
That's a great point. I would say that they're reacting to the label they placed on the emotion.
Exactly.
So what does it mean when you fucking punch them? Yeah. Right? What does it mean to
Chris from Hoboken is a great example of that.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you hit him, then it's like, oh shit, this means I'm a bitch, right? Like I don't know how to fight. I suck. I'm not good. Yeah. So it's the label on the emotion versus you get it hit and be like, okay,
don't do that again.
But not even thinking about it. It's just I got hit. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Once you label that knockout or that punch, it's when you react to the label. Yeah. So like, I don't know if you know a lot of the things that we talk about, but like emotions are physiological responses. Then the feelings are the label you place on the emotion, right? So when you get hit in the face, what does that feel like? Yeah. Right? Can you have enough awareness to understand like, oh shit, I feel my cheek tingling, I feel blood rushing to my face. Right? And when you get close, when you understand those things and you're not afraid of those responses, then it's just like the world changes.
I think there's another element there. Like so the same thing that you're saying, but now think about what you're projecting to the world, right? So the example of like someone who's very like into the way they look and so on and so forth. It's possible, I'm not saying this is the case, but it's possible too that they put a lot of stock in that in terms of, I look this way, I should be intimidating, so they should be afraid. Yeah. Shit, they just hit me, and now I feel afraid. Yeah. What does this mean? What is the meaning behind all of this? Okay, I need to establish my dominance again, and so on and so forth, right? All this thinking logical that goes behind it, but it's stemming from the emotional state of feeling vulnerable, of feeling exposed, of having your theories of life being shattered in the moment, because hey, this guy's half my size. What the fuck? No, this is not supposed to happen. Oh my god!
I point to smile every single time I play.
But I think that process actually happens subconsciously. Yeah, subconsciously. So it's not even logical thinking. It's not. No. It's
because the beliefs are almost rooted in that emotional level now. Yeah. They're and this is what we were talking about the other day, where like it's like core values now go from a logical prefrontal cortex of this is what this means, right? and then it comes into a place where it no longer has words, right? it becomes, and this is how you know that you're asking someone or you're talking to someone and they're talking about core values, when they're unable to bring the words. I don't know the word. It's just like, it's like a feeling. It's like, right? Now you're in that like sub-layer part of their perspective of themselves and the world, right? Where there's no words to comprehend. Is like the reptilian part of the brain, if you will. And in that part of the brain, that's when something was taken and put in through experiences, and now you act. It's almost instinctual. Like, for example, if I come up to you and I do this, you moved your head. You didn't think about that logically. You've trained so much that reaction has become hardwired to your nervous system, to your central nervous system, to your spine, sends that signal as soon as your eyes receive, hey, number one, I'm coming at you.
Something's happening. High alert.
I hit the wrong way.
But that's the awareness, right? Where now the instinctual action happened from a rooted, non-thinking place. And now you bring awareness to that action. You go, oh, correction. Go into that part of the brain, rewire this, train it. This is supposed to go this way. And with that awareness, now you can practice, okay, let me move this until it becomes instinctual.
Well, again, the experience of like, oh, if I would have moved my head that way, I would have got punched in the face. Well, how do you know that? Well, you know that because it happened to you. You got punched in the face. Exactly. So you felt the emotion, you felt the physiological response of what actually happened. So this is what I'm saying, the difference between men and women are is that we have to, like, in a way, we have to kind of curate or create those experiences, right? Women actually, on a monthly basis, right, they have to deal with the period. And that shit must be the most uncomfortable kind of thing that, like, well, my girlfriends that I had, I was like, that does not look fun. That, I don't want to experience that. I see a baby, I think about a baby being born, I'm like, definitely don't want to experience that. Like, the amount of pain and discomfort that a woman can handle on a monthly basis, and then 9 months of intense changes in your physiological responses with another living being inside of you who has their own physiological responses, like, that's intense emotional training.
Yeah.
So from the nervous system perspective.
Put it like this. I don't think you've had surgery. I know you've had surgery. Have you ever had a stent put into your pee-pee hole?
Thank God I have.
Okay, well, I have.
Yeah.
And it's like, the thing is like microscopic that's going in, and it feels like you're giving birth
Through your penis.
Remember the old school way when you used to check when you used to have an STD? Where they used to stick
the
swab?
yeah.
That's the closest thing to a catheter. And I was like, thank God they changed that shit around. Oh, just take my blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
but it's like this, the thing is tiny. Think about a child coming in through there, right? So like for us, from that sensation of things happening in our bodies, like these are like extremes for us, right? These are expectations for women. But then now you add the thought process behind it, the labels, the judgments, the stereotypes, the
stigmas, right? Pressure that we fucking this society puts on ladies is fucking wild.
What does your health, love life, spirituality, career, finances all have in common? Your mindset. Mindset is the source of creating change. To learn how to install these and other life-transforming concepts, browse through our free collection of courses at betheproject.com.